And we are live. Hey, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back today crowd favorite, New York Times bestselling author Jennifer McMahon, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book, My Darling Girl. Jennifer, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. This is so much fun. So I'm going to start by saying this was a book that I tried really hard not to write. I kept putting it off because, when people ask me, but despite the fact that I write scary books, I am the world's biggest scaredy cat. I get really easily freaked out by things. And when people ask me, what's the one thing you'll never write about? And what's the one thing that scares you too much? I've always said demons. Because when you write about demons, I had this idea that like you're opening a door, right? And who knows what might wander in if you're doing all the demon research and I'm getting lost in a story about demons. And I said to myself, no way, I'm never going down that road. And then way back in 2017, I actually had a really vivid dream that I'd written a book called Heart of Stone about a woman who's taking care of her dying mother and comes to believe that her mother is possessed by a demon. And I woke up and I had the entire book mapped out in my head. So I wrote it all down because I write everything down. That's what I do. I keep a notebook next to my bed and I always write down my dreams. And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea for a book. And then I looked at it and I thought about it and I said, but no, because demons, no way. I'm not touching that one. So I put it away and I hid it and I tried really hard not to think about it, but it kept kind of bubbling up and it kept, every now and then I would think about it and that demon book idea would come back to me and I'd get a new idea for it and I get an idea for a character and I was thinking, I started visualizing what my character Allison's daughters were going to look like and what her husband would be like. And so I'd take little notes but then I'd put it away because I'd get too scared and I'd say, no way. And then years went by and we went through the pandemic and I faced a lot of real life fears and dealt with a lot of heavy duty stuff. And I thought maybe it's time to like really face my fear on paper and drag this thing out and do what it is that I tell myself that I'm going to do all the time, which is write what scares me. My thing that has my tattoo on my wrist, write what scares you. It's my mantra that I tell myself all the time to like look at the fears and go to the dark place and don't shy away from it. So I decided to write my demon book, and that's how My Darling Girl came to be.
Oh my gosh. I am so excited to talk to you, Jennifer. I've gotten so many DMs from bookstagrammers and readers and friends who are so excited to hear from you. And I'm so excited to welcome you back. So I have so many questions myself and so many questions that are pouring in. So let's just jump right in. Friends, I just want to welcome you. We are broadcasting live to 7 different destinations on Facebook and YouTube right now. So no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. It is Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make them a little less painful for you and get your week off to a killer start. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome, friends. Here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors. You get to ask them anything. So ask Jennifer about this fear of demons. Why does she want to write? What scares her? What? This crazy story about a woman, a children's book writer who fears that her mom is possessed. Oh my gosh. I got so many questions. Just get the questions going in the comments. I'll get them right over to her. Tina, welcome to the conversation. She said, hello. Thank you for spending time with us.
Oh, thank you, Tina.
Thank you for spending time with us, Tina. Melissa is joining us from Australia. She says, hello, Sara and Jennifer. Hello. Good day.
Hi, Melissa.
Good day to you, Melissa. Renee joining us from Southeast Florida, your fellow Floridian.
Yay, my fellow Floridian. Hello.
Yay. Welcome to the conversation. Tina's saying, it has to be scary when the writer doesn't even want to write it. Okay. So Jennifer, let's talk about this. Is it a lifelong fear of demons?
So I have I have a lot of fears. I am a very anxious and fearful person. I was an anxious and fearful kid. I grew into an anxious and fearful adult. And I think part of the reason that draws me to both reading and writing about scary stuff is it helps me feel a little braver. Right? Because I can do it in bite-sized pieces. When I pick up a scary book to read, I can close the cover. When I'm writing a scary story, I can take a break and walk away from it. And as I tackle these things on the page, be it reading or writing, it makes me feel a little braver. It makes me feel like, handled this thing that I was terrified of, and it wasn't so bad.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I've always been afraid of demons, but I have a long list of fears. I keep an ongoing list of fears. I think it's important. I actually, when I do writing workshops, I tell people that that's one of the things you should do is start a list of fears, because I find tremendous inspiration in fears. If I'm stuck and I'm not sure what I want to be writing about, I'll take out my list of fears sometime and take a look at it. And then I'll see what I'm brave enough to kind of pull out and just sort of gently poke at with sticks and start kind of walking around in circles and asking questions about it. And yeah.
Ooh, now Renee is saying that now that is an interesting way to look at scary things. So Jennifer, you have this tattoo to write what scares you. Is it because that is a way to work through your fears, or you think that's the most exciting material? Why do you want to write what scares you?
I think both. I totally think both. I think that's where for me, that's where the good stuff is. That's where my writing is most exciting. That's where I'm kind of there's the most emotional impact for me. When I'm writing from a place of fear, when I'm writing about something that scares me, it's going to be juicy, whatever it is. And it's going to give me a lot of material, and it's going to keep me guessing and keep me learning and keep me going on to figure out what's going on with this thing that I'm afraid of.
Oh, this is so interesting. Thank you for sharing. I also super anxious person over here. Super anxious kid that grew into a super anxious adult. I am currently pondering my fear of flying. So as I have to face getting on a flight soon. So this is so relatable. Thank you for sharing, Jennifer.
Yeah. And I just think it helps us. I think when we write down our fear and start exploring it on paper, we realize maybe it's not so scary, but maybe it is. Maybe we have reason to be afraid, but I don't know. I think it's a healthy thing to explore our fears in whatever way we feel comfortable with.
Wait, have you always done that, Jennifer, or did that come to you at a certain point in your life?
I've always been drawn to scary things. I don't think I've ever written, I didn't start my list of fears until I was an adult. I didn't have a list of fears when I was a kid. I definitely had a list of fears in my head when I was a kid. But yeah, I've been keeping my list of fears I think since college. I started my list of fears and have been working on it.
I love that. Tina is saying, I love your perspective, tackling those fears and also keeping awareness of them from the start. She says she's going to start writing a list of fears and let's hope it isn't longer than her TBR list.
My TBR list is pretty long too.
The scariest thing of all is the towering TBR. Tina, I love that. Renee is urging me not to be scared, Sara, unless it is to fly, not to be scared of flying unless it's on a broom.
Yeah,
I'm never scared of flying on my broom, Renee. The broom I have full control. The broom I have full control over. It's the airplane I don't have full control over.
And a lot of fears about the unknown and lack of control. I think that's true.
Yes,
the unknown. It's not in your control, and you don't know what's going on. You have no idea what they're doing to keep that plane up in the air. So it's fear of the unknown. And yeah. Anyway.
Exactly. And sadly, they won't let me drive the plane. So it just is Karen, welcome to the conversation, saying hello. Hello to you, Karen. Tina saying she loves your mantra. I love your mantra too. And I love that you got it tattooed on your wrist. That is so fun.
I did. Yeah. So I heard over and over again when I was in school and college studying writing and in grad school, write what you know, write what you know. That's what they tell you. And they kind of drill it into your head. And after a while, I realized that what worked better for me was write what scares you, because that's where the good stuff was. And so that was my 50th birthday. When I turned 50, that was my present to myself as I went and got that tattooed on my wrist.
Oh my God. Just when I thought you couldn't get any cooler, you got cooler. Oh my goodness. Renee saying, Jennifer, you're a new author to me. Nice to meet you. Renee, I love that. Because I always say this my goal with Mystery of Little Mavis is to connect readers to their favorite authors and introduce them to their next favorite authors. So get ready, Renee. Here's your next favorite author, Jennifer McMahon. Karen saying she just finished your book today and she loved the audiobook version.
Oh, yay. They did a great job with it. I'm so glad to hear that. People have been really enjoying it. So that's wonderful. They did a very nice job with it. Great. Thank you, Karen.
Amanda wants to know if you got to pick the voice.
I did. Yeah. So when they're going to record an audiobook, they give me sort of a list of ideas for who they think would work, and I get to listen to them all and give them my top choices, and I rank them. And yes, so that's very fun. Very
Is,
fun.
is this your top choice?
Yes, very fun.
Yay! Renee wants to know, is this a book for adults? It sure is.
It sure is. Yes, maybe some brave teens, but no one young, not a young.
I think I threw it off by saying that Allison, the protagonist, is a children's book reader, author. So she wrote Moxie Saves Christmas after her black lab, a dog. She's clearly a dog person. Renee, your profile picture, you get it. You're a dog person.
Yeah.
Her dog, Moxie, her black lab, she wrote Moxie Saves Christmas. And then this became a series, Moxie Saves Halloween. And next thing you know, this Christmas hating woman becomes associated with Christmas. Jennifer, where did that idea come from? This centering the book around Christmas.
I thought it would be a wonderful thing to show something terrible happening at the most festive time of the year. Christmas seems sort of the antithesis of horror, right? It's like bright and cheerful and full of happy things, and you're gathering with your family and your loved ones. And one of the things that I love to do in my books is to give people a setting that we think is wonderful and beautiful and perfect and shiny baubles and bright festive scenery, and like a Norman Rockwell type setting where there's a beautiful farmhouse with snow at Christmas time, and sort of peel that back little by little and show the darkness hiding underneath and show that maybe things aren't quite the way they seem. So yeah, I had a good time with that. And honestly, Christmas and the whole holiday season thing always kind of stresses me out. My family has always jokingly called me the Grinch, and I do my best to try to embrace it, but I get stressed. I find it a very stressful, hard time of year, and I always have. And and the wonderful things happen, but there is anxiety there. And there's, even for people who love it, there's anxiety, right? You have the anxiety of seeing relatives and office parties and buying gifts for your coworkers and getting gifts. And it's a lot of anxiety. And anytime I feel like you're in a place of anxiety and where people are a little bit on edge, that is a great jumping off point for a scary book.
I love that. And this is coming from a woman who knows her way around writing a scary book. Because one thing I noticed is that, classic McMahon is starting that book off with that sense of foreboding, which you do a flashback to when Allison is a little girl, her mom, an artist, comes and gets in her twin bed with her. And she loves her mom, but she's scared of her mom. And there's this immediate, from page one, sense of foreboding and what's going on, and can we trust what's happening, that gut instinct. And I loved how you created that, dropped us deep into that moment from the very beginning.
Yeah, I thought that was a good way to start the book. And of course, that wasn't when I begin a book, like the book that ends up, the beginning that ends up being in the published book is never the way that I begin the story. So I wrote that scene a little later on, and it was like a flashback later on in the book. And I was like, no, I need to begin the book with that, because that tells us everything we need to know at the beginning, at least, about Allison and her mother Mavis's relationship. Because, it does open when she's a little girl and her mom crawls into bed with her and cuddles up next to her. And you think it's going to be this nice, fuzzy, warm, cozy thing. And it turns and it's not. And we get some insight into their relationship.
Indeed, we do. Indeed, we do. Anissa saying, welcome to the conversation. Anissa joining us from South Carolina, our favorite librarian of Books to Grammar, saying, I love that it is set at Christmas. Yes, so fun.
Good. Thank you.
Melissa saying she can't wait to read this book with the light on.
Absolutely. I wrote it with the light on, so I understand. I scared myself when I wrote this one. I kept the lights on for sure. So I advise that. That's great.
Jennifer literally writing what scares her.
Yeah.
Renee saying holidays with family members can always be crazy. Totally.
It's totally, even if we love our family, right? Most of them. But it can be stressful. I know it can be crazy and stressful. And yeah.
Karen wants to know, how did you decide on the title, My Darling Girl?
Oh boy, it was a long, crazy path to come up with that title. It was originally called Heart of Stone, and we decided to change it. And it was a group effort between myself and my agent and my editor, and we went round and round and kept throwing ideas out until finally that one was thrown out and it stuck. And it's something from the book. It's a line from the book. Mavis calls her daughter Allison my darling girl, and it worked. It worked for me.
Renee wants to know, were you ever afraid of your mom?
Oh, that is a deep question. How long do we have?
We got all the time you need.
I had a very complicated relationship with my mother. She struggled with alcoholism and mental illness. So there are bits and pieces of my mother in the character of Mavis, but not to the extreme. My mother was never physically abusive. And I also relied on a lot of my own memories when my mother got lung cancer, and we took care of her in our home with hospice care. And that's something that happens in the book, is Allison takes care of her mother, Mavis, at home with hospice care. So I relied on my own memories of that. So I wove some of my own stuff in. Was I ever afraid of my mom? That's a complicated question that I'm not quite sure how to answer. We have a complicated relationship. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that for sure.
Thank you for sharing that, Jennifer. And I'm so sorry about your mom.
Well, it's fine. I mean, she was wonderful, and she was my best friend in so many ways, and it was complicated though. But yeah, I think one of the things that I played with in this book was the whole concept of demon possession versus mental illness, and the idea that isn't it easier, almost in a way, to blame someone's actions on something else, to say, oh, it was a demon inside her who did these terrible things. It wasn't really my mother. And that's one of the things that Allison comes to, when Allison starts to believe that perhaps her mother is possessed, it almost becomes easier. And it's a way for her maybe to make sense of the trauma that she underwent and the things that her mother did to her, by telling herself, oh, my mother actually loved me, and it wasn't really my mother doing these things. Perhaps it was this demon.
And it's interesting too, because I'm just thinking of the recent loss of Matthew Perry, whose memoir about his lifelong struggle with addiction came out just 1 year ago, and now of course he just died. And I think we're all thinking a lot about addiction late, in the wake of this, because we all felt like we knew him from Friends. And he will often describe addiction as this demon that they're battling, their own inner demons, trying to escape their inner demons. So I thought that was really interesting, because that's something that you play with before, is monsters. Are they the monsters within us, the monsters, the concept of monsters? This is something you've worked with before. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we all have little pieces of darkness inside us, right? And I think that's one of the things that draws us to these stories, of sort of the good versus evil stories, and the monster stories, and the demon stories, is, we've all got a little evil inside us.
Tina is saying, I never expect cozy in any part of a scary book. It always has the potential for shock immediately after comfort sets in.
Yeah.
Thank you. Katie, welcome to the conversation. Joined us from YouTube, asking, does this book take place in Vermont or Connecticut? I am from Connecticut, and I love when you reference Connecticut.
Oh, fun. So it takes place in Vermont. I don't think there's any Connecticut mentioning in it.
And a bit of New York.
And a bit of New York, yes. The mother character lives in Woodstock, New York. So there are scenes of Allison driving to her mother's house in Woodstock, New York. But it's set in Vermont. I grew up in Connecticut, and I do occasionally mention Connecticut in my books. I haven't actually set an entire book in Connecticut yet, I don't think, but who knows? Maybe one day.
I think Katie's voting for Connecticut.
Yeah, I think she is. Yeah. It's funny. I grew up in Connecticut. I don't go back all that often. And when I do, it's one of those things like I don't recognize anything about the town I grew up in. Things have changed so much.
Welcome to the conversation. We have John joining us from Northeast Ohio. Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Karen saying, I have so many questions. When writing your demon book, how did you want to separate your story from other books, such as The Exorcist? which the New York Times Book Review, congratulations, described this book as The Exorcist is combined with a Hallmark movie and said that is a very good thing, and I have to agree. So she's saying other books such as The Exorcist, and with that ending, and remember, no spoilers here, with that ending, would there be a sequel? And have you ever thought about doing a series? Let's take that a little bit at a time. So
Okay.
how did you want to separate your story from other books such as The Exorcist?
I think that I was definitely inspired by all the demon stories that I grew up with and have read, such as The Exorcist and, Rosemary's Baby isn't really a demon possession story, but I love a good demon story, even though they terrify me. But I wanted it to be a story not just about the possibility of a demon possession, but about mothers and daughters and the love they have for each other and how far we'll go for the people we love most. And so I think that's sort of at the heart of the story. And that was my own take on it, is putting the complexity of the mother-daughter relationship in there. With that ending, will there be a sequel? I haven't actually thought about a sequel. I do wonder what happens next, and I find myself thinking about it quite a bit. I tell myself that, and other people, that I don't really have the attention span to do a series or to do a sequel, but who knows? If I keep revisiting it in my head, who knows? I might need to explore it on paper at some point down the road to figure out what's going to happen next. But for right now, I'm leaving what happens next in the minds of my readers and myself. I'm imagining all kinds of interesting things that could happen next.
Ooh, I am very excited because I feel like some of your other books could have the possibility of sequels as well. Like,
Yeah.
you haven't done that challenge. You haven't taken a sequel challenge on yet.
I haven't taken a sequel challenge on. No, and I do like to kind of leave things a little bit open-ended, like leave readers with what happens now. I want people to think about it, to wonder what could happen next. And, these characters live on for me. They go on living on for months and years after. And my hope and goal is that they do that for readers too.
Oh, I love that. And they do, Jennifer. Jennifer McMahon's books stay with us. Am I right, guys? They stay with us. Melissa saying that's a really, really good advice, to face your fears. Melissa, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have someone else joining us from South Carolina. Hello and welcome.
Oh.
Renee wants to know, do you have other fears? If so, do you write about them? And what are some of your other fears? Yeah, what other fears might you face next, Jennifer? We've got we've faced a lot so far with your other books. What will we face next?
I have so many fears. I don't know exactly what we're going to be facing next. Right now I'm working on a book that deals with oh boy, I don't want to say too much about it, but it deals with illness, and I have a lot of fears around illness and sickness. And I won't say any more about it than that, but I have an ongoing list of clowns terrify me. Will clowns ever make an appearance in my book? I don't know, but I'm one of those clown people. But I have my biggest fears are probably bad things happening to the people I care about, That's what keeps me up at night, is thinking about that. And I explore that sometimes in my writing with, through my characters. And of course I have huge fears about the state that our planet is in and the world. And it's just heartbreaking and hard. And I find it sort of healing to write about demons and monsters rather than the real life stuff, because I can handle the demons and monsters in little bite-sized pieces as opposed to big real world problems. But I keep my list going, my list of fears, and it's ever evolving, always adding new ones. There's a lot to be afraid of in this world.
There is a lot to be afraid of. Karen wants to know, Jennifer, did you have any weird occurrences happen to you while writing the book? Ooh, good question.
That's a very good question. Not really, other than just scaring myself silly all the time. Yeah, no, nothing weird, nothing that I felt. I didn't feel like I was being watched or the demons were coming for me or anything. But
although you did have that one ghost encounter on a haunted bridge in Vermont.
I did have that, but that was before. I haven't had any demon encounters or anything that I'm aware of. Nothing weird, but I did scare myself quite a bit, and I did have to write with the lights on, and there were days that I would write little bits and then have to take a break. And
Wow.
honestly, the writing scared me, but like when I was doing research and learning about stuff and reading other people's supposedly real life demon stories and possession stories, that scared the daylights out of me. That was scary stuff.
So Jennifer, you write scary stuff well. What do you think is the key to writing a scary scene? Because I can tell everybody it's not easy. You can veer very quickly into cheesy. So, but you do it so well. What's your secret?
Oh, I don't know that it's really a secret. For me, when I'm reading and writing, things are scariest when I don't know too much, when you let readers fill in the blanks a little bit more. For me, it's a little scarier to use my imagination about what might be, what be behind that door than to show what might be behind the door. Does that make sense? I don't know. I guess I come from the like less is more approach. I'm really into creating a creepy atmosphere. We've got a creepy situation, a creepy atmosphere. You have this sense of dread. And I think it's a delicate balance to build that sense of dread without going over the top and without making it cheesy. Yeah, like you said. And, I think that the number one thing is to start with a character we're going to care about and that we want to go on a journey with, and that we can see things through her eyes and feel what she's feeling. And, if she's experiencing this, then hopefully the reader will feel it through her. Does that make sense?
That does. And it's interesting too, because it's sort of almost counterintuitive that less is more, because you think, oh, well, I'll show this scary thing, then it'll be extra scary. But actually, it's the not knowing that is so scary. You're so right.
Yeah. And I feel like that's true. I would rather do a little, it's almost like giving people sort of an outline, like a paint by numbers, but without the paint, and letting people put in their own splotches of color.
Yes. Oh, I love that analogy. That's so true. Renee is saying she's surprised that I'm an anxious person. Thank you, Renee. It's good to know that my outward projection of calm is working. Thank you for saying that. So I was saying we always need new authors. Yes, exactly. Renee saying she loves being introduced to new authors. Totally, me too. This is so fun. Karen saying demons and Ouija boards are a big taboo for me. I'll read about them, but we'll stay away. Jennifer, do you have a Ouija board?
Oh, I have two Ouija boards. I have my Ouija board and I have my mother's Ouija board.
Oh my God! You have your mom's?
I know. Yeah, I do. I don't use it very often. It's actually it's behind me in my office on my shelves. I do use them once in a while, and very carefully, and it has to be the right situation and the right energy in the room for sure. Because I do have fears. I mean, we've all seen The Exorcist. We know, we've read and speaking of seeing The Exorcist, how many people have read the book The Exorcist? Have you read it?
No, I've never read it or seen it. I am too scared.
You have not seen it? Oh man.
No.
Okay.
Well, I want to be able to sleep sometime.
Well, for people out there who know the movie but have not read the book, go read the book. I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. I actually listened to an audiobook version with the author reading it, and it was very, very good. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
While I was working on this, I did have fun sort of revisiting some of my favorite possession and demon stories from different parts of my life. So it was fun.
Oh, welcome to the conversation. Amy joining us from Rhode Island. She says she's a huge fan of your books and your writing style.
Oh, thank you.
I am always left with such a haunted, creepy feeling, and I can't wait to read this one.
Oh, that's high praise. That's great.
That is high praise, and I think you're going to enjoy it, Amy. So you guys, the book just came out and is available now from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. So I'm going to drop the link in here. So no matter where you're watching from, on Facebook or YouTube, grab your copy here and let us know what you think of Allison, her husband, Mark, their two daughters, Moxie the dog, her brother, her mom. So much to chat about here. So grab your copy. It's right here in the links. Oh, Renee wants to know, how old is Moxie? Wait, so yeah, how did you come up with this with Moxie the dog?
Moxie the dog. So Moxie the dog was very much based on my own rescue lab, Lola. Moxie the dog is a black lab very sweet, and becomes the subject of Allison's first children's book. And Allison is a woodcut artist who mostly does greeting cards and things. And one Christmas, she comes up with this idea that she's going to make this little cute little story about Moxie and how Moxie saved Christmas, and just give it to friends and family as sort of like a warm gift. And it just took off, and the people ended up sharing it, and she ended up needing to print more and more copies. And then she got a publishing contract, and suddenly she is pretty well known for this Moxie Saves Christmas book. And people are asking, well, where's the next book? When's the next book coming? And so she's stuck on the next one, and the next one is going to be Moxie Saves Halloween. And she's hit this slump, and she's not sure, how is Moxie going to save Halloween? And she's running into all these creative hurdles. And in the meantime, she's got her dying mother coming to live with her, and all the weight and emotional baggage that comes with that.
And going right into hospice care. Exactly. Tina saying, thank you for being vulnerable and brave in sharing those pieces of your own relationship with your mom. Yes, I am seconding that. Jennifer, thank you. And thank you for that. Absolutely, Tina. Well said. Cheryl, welcome to the conversation, saying The Winter People is my favorite Jennifer McMahon book. I enjoy Jennifer's writing, and she is an inspiration to me. My darling girl is very realistic with the interaction between a mother and her daughter. Yes, well said, Cheryl. Thank you.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Cheryl.
And it's so good to know, Jennifer, now that you wanted to really, get into that mother-daughter relationship as well as the mental illness, demonic possession, and facing your fears with that.
So there's Allison and her mother Mavis. So we've got that mother-daughter story, but we've also got the story between Allison and her two daughters.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I had a lot of fun writing about them.
Yes, because you were also a mom yourself.
Yes, I am indeed. So I channeled a lot of my memories of having a house full of teenage girls when I was writing the Izzy parts. Izzy is 16, and she's Allison's daughter, and she's spunky, and she's got a lot going on.
She does indeed. Karen saying, I'm still waiting for a McMahon universe. I feel some characters share experiences, and I picture them living next door to each other. Oh, I love that.
I love that, a McMahon universe.
A McMahon universe in Vermont, a McMahon Vermont universe.
I love it. No, I would love to see what would happen if some of the characters from different books sort of ran into each other at the store or at the state fair or something. And
Oh my God, that would be so fun.
That's a very fun idea, Karen. Thank you.
What would we call it? What would the town be where they would all live?
I don't know.
What would the name of the McMahon universe be? Maybe it would just be the McMahon universe.
I don't know. Yeah, people in sort of all over in these little towns in Vermont, and they would all need to come together for something. Their paths would cross in some mysterious way.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
Renee wants to know, do you watch scary movies?
I do watch scary movies, but I'm scared. I'm seriously the person who screams a lot. My daughter just insisted that I go see the new Exorcist movie with her in the theater. And so we went and did that like last week, and I was terrified, and I kept covering my eyes and screaming. And yeah, I am very easily scared, but I love scary movies. I do watch scary movies, even though
my gosh. Well, you are braver than I. Tina wants to know, do you read your own books after they are released to your readers? And are there any that you've read multiple times? Do you have a favorite of your own books?
No, So I will confess that I do read my books at least once after I write them. So I write them and I put them out into the world, and I kind of wait to hear what other people think. But before I go and start talking about a book, because there's a long period of time between the time I've actually finished it and the time that it's published, and it's going to be in other people's hands. And in that time period, I'm usually working really hard on the next book. So I'm all caught up in that universe. So before I go on tour, before I go and do events, I have to reread my book to remind myself, oh, this is what happens. Hey, this is actually pretty good. This is exciting. And, enough time has gone by that sort of it's new to me again, and it's always fun. So I don't think I've read anything multiple times. I do kind of refamiliarize myself with old books every now and then and think, oh, this is good. Or every now and then I'll look at something and I'll think, oh, I should have done this a little differently, but I didn't, and it's okay. Every book is a learning experience, I think. Do I have a favorite of my own books? I really love this one. I think this one I really love this one. My absolute favorite probably just will always be my first, because it was my first,
Oh,
Promise Not to Tell, and it was the book that sort of got me started on this journey and opened doors, and it was the little book that could. So I have
oh,
a soft spot in my heart for that one.
oh, I love that. I love that. Um, Renee saying she read it ages ago. I love that. She wants to know if yoga and meditation help. Yoga and meditation help me. Do you do either yoga or meditation, Jennifer? Do they help you to feel less anxious?
I have done them. You know what helps me a lot is walking. I walk every day for an hour. And that always helps me feel less anxious. And if I'm really worked up and hamster wheeling in my head, then going for a walk usually helps.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, the book is out now, everybody. So Jennifer can reread her own book and we can all read it for the first time. So here is that link. Order now your copy of My Darling Girl so that you too can immerse yourself in the world of Allison and her mom and her daughter and all of these wonderful characters we're talking about. So here is the link once again. Order right now, and then let us know what you think. Chandler Baker saying that it gave her goosebumps. So much other praise from Paul Tremblay, the New York Times book review. Nick Cutter calling it twisty, propulsive, character driven, and hair raisingly scary. The praise just goes on and on. Y'all, we are out of time. Time flies when you're having fun. So I just want to say, Jennifer McMahon, thank you so much for coming on to chat with us again. It is such a pleasure to host you and to chat with all of you, our mystery and thriller loving fam. So thank you for spending your Mystery Monday with us. Jennifer Renee saying thank you for being here with us. Yes, thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you, Sarah, so much for having me, and thank you all for coming and asking such great questions. There's some great questions out there and comments. Thank you. This is wonderful.
Thank you all. I hope your week is off to a killer start. Thank you, Katie, saying, I can't wait to read this. Tina saying, thank you, Jennifer. It's been amazing having you here with us. It's been amazing spending this time with you all. Karen saying, thank you for chatting with us. I can't wait for your next book. Yay. Thank you all for spending your Mystery Monday with us. Jennifer, thank you for coming on to us the inside scoop on My Darling Girl, your process, your creativity, your relationship with fear. This has been such a wonderful conversation. Y'all, the book is out now. Grab your copy. Let us know what you think. And I will not see you next Monday because I will be in Iceland at Iceland Noir. So I will see you in 2 weeks. Happy reading until then.
Thank you.